to Murder
Welcome.
Therapy with Dolltok and Cousin Ashley.
Hey.
As you, we covered a very, very hard and emotionally hard case.
Yeah.
You've had a week to kind of, yeah,
I hope you hugged your
that was hard.
babies.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, me and Ash, literally, we had just got done recording that one, so we are going on to our next one because of the holiday week. At this point, you all have already celebrated July 4th,
I
but
hope you
right now
guys
for us,
had a
you,
good celebration, had cookouts,
yes,
fireworks, all the
yes,
things.
yes. But what I'm gonna say is, I'm glad that we went ahead and knocked Susan Smith out of the way. That way, I'm not like sitting there thinking about that fresh on my
Mm.
brain when we
Yeah.
finish up recording, because this will definitely ease your thoughts. Um, this is a little bit different than what we usually do. Murderers are involved. Okay. Yes, there are murderers involved. But this is a case of they've already been captured and they're
Wait, you're
incarcerated.
saying
So,
murderers as in plural, they
yes,
as in more than one.
yes, more than one. Yes,
What? Okay.
we have two.
I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think I know anything about it. And hopefully this recording lasts because we tried that. And with all the technical problems, it always does, it never works out. And then we have to re record it. And I already
Yeah.
know. I don't like it.
Well, if they love the ones, I get lots of feedback when like you don't know about
I
it or
know.
I don't know about it, and they love to watch our reactions on YouTube. Is
Well,
what I've been told. So
fingers
you don't
crossed.
know who Joyce Mitchell is.
Not that I know. Not that I know of.
Does the New York prison break ring any bells to you?
No.
Okay, good. Then this is going
Listen,
to
I
be
stay
even
out of the
more
news,
fun
you
than what
guys.
I
It's so
anticipated.
depressing. It's so. I live in a happy
So
Ashley bubble.
I have to explain how this case kind of come about. As you all know, I bring it up all the time. Y'all are probably sick of hearing me say it, but my mom is our biggest fan. So Ash had messaged me yesterday because we already knew we was going to re-record this, and she's like, "Hey, some things have come up in the schedule. How would you feel about recording two tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Well, that's fine." And I'm like,
Bing, bang,
obviously,
boom.
she knows I know a lot of cases. So throwing one together
It did
last
work
minute
out.
for me is not a big deal. And I asked her, I was like, "Do you want to do one or do you want me?" She's like, "Go ahead and put one together. I'm good with whatever." So we had went over to mom's yesterday. I was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to do something. I feel like because we done Dahmer and that's a lot. Susan Smith, she's a lot. I wanted to do something that wasn't like emotionally like draining, and this is one that my mom was really invested in. Like my
Oh.
mom watched the series, yeah. And my mom was like, "Oh my god, I got one. You should do the Joyce Mitchell thing." Well, she couldn't remember. She's like, "Remember that dipshit that done all that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, we can do that." So
The dipshit.
this will be fun. Yes.
Okay.
So don't worry. Murderers are involved.
I'm a
A
goofball,
potential
so bring
plan.
on something funny. I got it.
Yes, this is. I mean, unfortunately, it shouldn't be funny, but you can't help but get tickled at some of this, and I'm going to do my best to do this with as much of a serious face as I possibly can. Like, obviously, as you all know, I'm not a Gypsy Rose Blanchard fan. You guys know that. I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty, but in my mind, I'm boycotting Lifetime because I feel like they're condoning her behavior. So, and I love Lifetime.
I
I'm a
haven't
big avid
watched
Lifetime.
it. Yeah.
I canceled my membership with Lifetime. I had Lifetime Movie Network. Yes, that's how, like, anywho, but before that, have you ever watched some of those Lifetime movies that, I mean, don't get me wrong, Lifetime makes really good movies and they're so fucking stupid and they're so cheesy and you're like, yeah, like that would ever happen. You know what? But I'm being serious. Like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you watch those and you're like,
Don't
yeah.
come for me. Because I know a lot of people are Lifetime movie fans. I've come across a few that I stop and watch, but I am not. Like, my stepsister is just like DVR, 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 DVR. I just can't. I'm not a Lifetime movie person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have homework after this,
Oh
okay? So
God.
even though I'm very anti Lifetime Movie Network, and I say that because
I'm terrible. I'm
there's
terrible with follow
two.
through. Just so you know, as you can tell.
Well, I'm when I come to Ohio in the next few weeks,
Oh God.
we're going to do this.
All right.
We're gonna spend a day watching about Joyce Mitchell just because I want to see. I'm gonna get to see the look on your face as I'm telling you the story, but I want to see the look on your face when you're watching like the movies and stuff because obviously when this happened, Lifetime did their movie as they always do, right? And when you watch it, it portrays her to be just kind of really caring and stupid, if that makes sense. Like really like lacking common sense and kind of gullible. And then the series that I think Showtime did this series. Forgive me. It was either
Oh.
Showtime or they turned it into a mini series.
Okay.
They do pay. She is stupid. Period. They both got this part correct. She is stupid, but they show her as very narcissistic,
Okay.
if that makes sense. A
Yeah.
narcissistic. She's a stupid narcissist. Okay. Whereas Lifetime portrays her just to be stupid and caring and yeah, if that makes sense. So it's two different perspectives, same
Or
story,
at least
and
she's
I always
stupid
like
and
to kind
tries
of
to be
get
a
the.
narcissist, and she just sucks at it. Is that what it is?
I know. I totally agree more with Showtime's outlook
Okay.
and yeah, that she's a narcissist. But don't worry, we're
Send
gonna
me
learn
the
about Joyce
info.
Mitchell. We're
I
gonna learn
got
about
it.
it. So yes, don't worry. So we will have murder today. We will have well, not murder. We're gonna kind of touch base on it, but yeah. All right, let me just tell you the story. Okay. So we are going to go to June 6th, 2015. We're going to New York.
Okay,
Okay.
recent.
New
Okay.
York.
New
Oh
York.
yeah, it was very recent.
New
It was very recent.
York.
I remember this day actually because I remember when this was on the news.
Like New
I'll
York,
never
New
forget
York?
it. Well, no, we're up more northern New
Okay.
York. I think it's Dan. I can't say it. It's where the Clinton Correctional Facility is,
Okay.
which is the largest prison in New York State. They house up to 3,000 inmates. It's a very
Wow.
large prison. Um, but June 6th, 2015, at 5:17 a.m., inmates Richard Matt and David Sweat were missing. And this is when a correctional officer that was doing his duties was like, oh, fuck. We've had two people escape. Okay. Now, inmate Matt, Richard Matt, he had a sentence of 25 to life, which I'll touch base on, like why they got their sentences here in a little bit. Inmate Sweat was in there with life without the chance of parole. Both murderers. They both did murders. Okay,
Wow. Okay.
which we'll talk about. Um, Now we're gonna go backwards. So I just wanted to paint that. So we've got two inmates missing, but don't worry, I'm gonna tell you the tale of how all of this has happened. Because thankfully for Joyce Mitchell, who goes by Tilly, okay, that's her nickname.
Tilly.
Um, yes, old Tilly. She is quite the gem. Now, you can't really find a whole lot of information on Tilly, but what I have found is that she's just an awful person anyway. Tilly ended up marrying her high school sweetheart, right? They end up having a son, okay? His name's Toby. They named the son Toby. They start working at a local sewing factory in their area. And while Tilly is working there, she meets Lyle. Okay, Lyle Mitchell. So Tilly starts fucking around with Lyle. Now, I just got to paint this because my mom has laughed her ass off. In the series, it shows her affair. And it's like they're on their lunch break, and the two of them are just right there in the bushes where everyone can
Oh
fucking see them
my
just doing their thing.
God.
Like, I wonder if that really happened. Well, in the Lifetime movie, right? It talks she's telling these inmates about her affair, and she tells them that they were caught at the train track. So I imagine with those two things that they probably really were observed within close
Oh my God.
parameters of, yeah, she wasn't a bit bashful.
I
So
mean,
Toby
whatever gets your
discovers that
rocks
she's
off.
had an affair. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And they end up splitting up, and Tilly ends up getting with Lyle, who did end up actually legally adopting their Toby and Joyce's son, little Toby. Okay, so Toby then took his last name of Mitchell. Now, the sewing factory ended up shutting down, and they were looking for jobs. And what do you know? The prison, Clinton Correctional Facility, is hiring. And they actually have inside a sewing shop where some of the inmates, that's a big job for them. That's like the top notch job that they could have. They make each other's, like, they make the inmates' clothing there
Okay.
because obviously it's a huge prison. There's like 3,000 inmates in there.
Lots
So
of
they
clothes.
have to do something. Yeah. So, with Joyce's sewing expertise, she takes on a job there at the Clinton Correctional Facility as like a manager that oversees the inmates, right? She's like their supervisor in the sewing shop.
Okay.
Okay. You don't know what this case yet?
Absolutely not.
Oh boy.
Well, now I want to go watch
She's
this.
in
Like, I'm
for
a
a
big
ride.
TV and movie buff, you guys. Like, so bring it on.
You need to. I'm telling
I
you.
know.
It's great. All right. So, Joyce, she has a tendency to be a little bit overly friendly with the inmates, okay? Um, she insists that she's building a rapport with them. In her interviews, she says that it's about treating one another with respect. In order to get respect, you have to give respect, which I get. However, there's been an interview with another inmate who was in prison with the two that I told you about before, Matt and Sweat. His charge was not, he had done like, I think his original charge was receiving stolen goods, and
Okay.
then when he got out, he was on probation and he broke curfew. So it really wasn't like super serious. You know what I mean? So he just happened to be put in a supermax facility.
Jeez.
And well, not supermax, excuse me, a maximum security facility. And he landed a job within the sewing area, which again was like the gold for that prison. If you're in there,
Oh,
you're doing
so
good.
the people that do the sewing are the inmates.
Are the inmates? Yes,
Oof. And
yes,
you're gonna put a
yeah.
female in charge. Interesting
Well,
move. Interesting move.
listen,
These
yeah.
men are
Well, that's
lonely and they've
that's
been
not
lonely a
anything
long
unusual.
time. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll get into that
Okay.
anyway. But he talks about how Joyce or Tilly, whatever the fuck you want to call her, she would get up in your personal space, which I kind of understand. Like, she's coming through, observing to see that you are, doing okay at sewing. Because obviously a lot of men don't know how to sew. They would bring them in, they would teach them how to sew. And part of being their supervisor, you do have to have that one-on-one contact.
Yeah.
But he said that she would like place her breast on their shoulder and she would bend over in provocative ways.
Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh.
And he's like, I'm an inmate. I don't want to be like, get the fuck off of me. He's like, because I'm an inmate.
Yeah.
So I get it to that degree. And a lot of them really didn't say anything, but some of them would engage back.
Oh,
And what do you
sure.
know? One of those was inmate Sweat.
Mm.
Now, yes, Joyce says that she was not happy in her marriage with Lyle. They'd been married for 20 some years at this point, okay? She's not happy.
Obviously
She's bored.
seeking at least compliments and flirtiness to feel
I
good
am
about
trained.
herself.
We're trained that you leave, I have to leave my shit at the door, and there's a reason for that. One, I'm not there for my needs. I'm there for my patient's needs, right? And obviously, you don't tell them your personal information. You don't ever go in a room by yourself and shut the door behind you. You don't. show any, I can't treat one patient better than another patient. It's all or nothing. And that's why I get so mad when she's like, it's about respect. Well, I respect my patients 100%. But when they start fishing information from me, I just tell them, I'm not really here to discuss me. I'm here for you and I want to know more about you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your relationships. Let's talk about, what you're going through or why you're feeling that way.
Well,
Because
it's
a
similar for
lot,
you. They're mentally unstable where you're at, can use it in weird ways. And then she's dealing with criminals who could possibly know what they're doing with using that information in negative ways.
but I get a lot. Well, I deal with the forensic population now, and 95% of my population, with my people that I deal with, they're not mentally ill. It's
Yeah.
strictly just personality. It's not a mental illness.
Yeah.
And they do ploy for information, and they ploy for that to use it against you. It's not because they give a shit about me. They don't care about me. Why would they? I'm just a strange lady that's going in to talk to them for a minute. Why would they give a fuck about me? They don't.
Yeah, why do you want to know that?
Why do you want to know that? Exactly. But yeah. Now, obviously, so this sewing shop was fairly large, and Joyce had a supervisor named Pam. Pam has interviewed, and she says she knew the minute that Joyce walked in she was not appropriate to be working in this type of setting.
Okay.
And they trained their people about the exact same boundaries that I have to learn about, right?
Oh, sure.
And that obviously engaging in personal relationships with inmates is not appropriate behavior, right? You are dealing with some of the most high profile cases in the nation. These are really hardcore criminals, right?
Yeah.
And Pam tried to talk to Joyce about and she approached it in a very professional manner. She's like, you're being very friendly with these people. You need to have a guard up. And Joyce would get mad. And she would, get really pissy and be, just kind of still do her own thing. So what did Pam do? She goes and she reports it to higher ups because at this point it's not even about getting Joyce in trouble. It's for her safety.
100%.
This is becoming a safety issue. And um, complaints were filed. They met with Joyce. Nothing was done. Now, Wet had been working in the shop for quite some time. Okay. Inmate Sweat was probably one of the best top notch sewers in the whole thing. So he was kind of like the lead, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was Joyce's like right hand man, right? And they would talk about how she would pull him to the side a lot and they would laugh and they would cut up and just all the things. And listen, the criminal population, they're not stupid. I know that we look at the media and you see people about like driving into banks and robbing them and you're like, well, that was stupid. Sure, the actions itself was stupid. But when it comes down to it, they're really not ignorant people. They're
No.
very smart. They're sitting in there, they're locked up, most of them for life sentences. They have nothing to do. What do you think that they're doing? They're watching exactly what he's doing. And they're watching her get strung along like the insecure little bitch that she is. And they're just kick back and let's watch this shit show unravel. And
They have
obviously,
nothing else to do.
he they ain't got nothing else to do, so they're just like, well, let's just watch this shit show unravel. Yeah, so um they're noticing that inmate Sweat is he's the teacher's pet, right? And rumors start to fly that Sweat and Tilly are in a romantic relationship. I can't imagine why anyone would think that, but yeah, those rumors start to fly. Now, Lyle, Tilly's husband, also works at the prison.
Oh,
He doesn't work
shit.
in the sewing area. Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't worry. You're going to get to know Lyle very well. But Lyle hears about this. And Lyle confronts Joyce, and she gets really mad. And she's like, those are just rumors. And he believes her, right? Like, it's like, whatever. So, meanwhile, inmate Matt comes in. He now starts working in the sewing area. I don't know what his job was before, but it's important to note that him and inmate Sweat were really close buddies. I say that because they had adjacent cells to one another, so they were like side by side,
Okay.
okay? One thing that they took into common, a common interest that they had was painting, okay? Which is cool, whatever. Inmate Matt is a very talented artist. You can actually pull up some of his paintings and stuff online. Like he is
Hmm.
phenomenal.
Okay.
Again, they ain't got nothing else to do, and that's cool. And it's totally one thing to compliment, someone's characteristics like, wow, that's really impressive. That's one thing. It's a completely different when you start doing trading for artwork. I just like,
What?
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well.
Yeah. So, Matt is sitting back and observing, Sweat and Joyce. Now they had an area in the sewing area, like the sewing shop that they called Taylor 9. And Taylor 9 is where they kept like fabric, all the storage things, extra machines and all that. And Joyce would be like, Inmate Sweat, can you come with me to Taylor 9 and help me bring out more supplies? So they would go to Taylor 9 and they would shut the door behind them and they'd be in there for a good 15, 20 minutes and they would come back and what do you know? There's never any supplies.
What were you guys
Yes.
doing in there?
Well, Joyce says that they didn't have an intimate relationship, that no sex was ever involved.
Mm.
I guess
Okay.
they were playing Scrabble. I don't know. Like they were they were playing charades and Pictionary. Like yeah. So, and of course, obviously, the door is never supposed to be closed, especially with a convicted murderer behind there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just let that sink in. Now, part of the reason that, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth, but Sweat's sentencing was more severe than inmate Matt's because Sweat had killed a cop.
Oh shit.
Apparently, yeah, he had killed an officer who was responding to there was a robbery at a firework place that also sold firearms. And when the police officer responded, Sweat shot the police officer and then ran him over with the vehicle and
Wow.
drug him for miles. Yeah, it
Holy
was it was pretty bad. So
cow.
he got a life sentence without the chance of parole.
Okay.
And I would imagine, given the fact that he killed a police officer and you are surrounded by law enforcement every day, that they did not make his life very easy. It is what it is. I mean, he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now inmate Matt, he was in prison for killing his supervisor. His supervisor was 76 years old, and apparently, I don't know what it was that he did for a
He's
living
part
at
of
that
horrible
time.
bosses, you guys.
But well, I don't know. I kind of like well when you hear this. So the apparently one day at work, the little old man who was 76 years old, mind you, made a joke and he's like, I got hundreds of thousands of dollars buried in my basement. Everyone knew that was a joke except for Matt.
Oh.
So what did Matt do? That evening, he knocked on the door. He's demanding money. He's like, I want the money or you. And he's like, there is no money.
What the?
There's no money. So he abducts him, puts him in the trunk. He tortures him. They drove around with him for 30 hours. And then he ended up having it. He's like, I've had it. So he broke his neck and then dismembered him. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Was there money?
And so there was no money. Yeah. So this jackass is in prison. Now, before
Oh
that
jeez.
whole ordeal had happened, inmate Matt was once married. 4 years into the marriage, he was divorced. He did have a daughter with this woman, and she says that in the beginning, of course, as most narcissistic relationships work out, that in the beginning he was great, and he really wasn't a bad looking guy. If you pull up his profile picture, his picture, he really wasn't a bad looking guy.
Yeah.
And she says, it's just he became violent. She didn't really openly say that he was abusive with her, but I'm guessing if I had to guess with that statement, he probably did.
Oh yeah.
But that she still cared about him, not on an intimate level, but because that was the father of her daughter.
Of course.
I get it.
Yeah.
despite everything that he did, yeah. And she had told her daughter, and I would imagine that's a hard conversation to have, that your dad is in prison and he's convicted of murder. It is what it is. Matt had started writing his daughter. They had never met before, but he did want to have a relationship. She wrote him back. She did end up coming and visiting him in prison. So they had started to mend their relationship, their father-daughter relationship. I don't think that they would ever have like a normal father-daughter relationship, but that was growing.
Yeah.
Props to her. I don't know that I could do that. That would be really hard,
Yeah.
especially
Oh,
knowing the
absolutely.
graphic details of what he did.
Yeah. That would be.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine having to just like kind of put that in the back of your head to continue on a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so all of that's going on. I just wanted to paint that real quick as to what they, why they were in prison and the things that they did. And they're both in Tilly's workshop. She's messing around with Sweat, even though she denies that she was. She says that they didn't have an intimate relationship. He also denies the sexual aspect of it, but I'm like, then what the fuck were you doing in Taylor number 9? Like, please tell us, was there a Monopoly board back there? We need to know. Like, what were you
They were playing
doing?
Twister. Oink, oink.
So, then, although they weren't having an intimate relationship, Sweat
Mm-hmm.
brought her one of his shirts because it smelled like him. Yeah. She has a
Mm-hmm.
nasty inmate's shirt. A man that's in prison that killed a police officer because it smells like him. Yeah. And of course, again,
I
everybody, all the other
can't.
inmates are, yeah, I know. All the other inmates are watching all this and they're just like, I wonder how many of them were like, gag me with a fucking spoon. My fucking sentence can't be over quick enough because this is disgusting. I would rather watch the four walls in my cell than be here watching her rub her tits on all of us. Because, yeah, yeah, because I'm not being ugly. I'm not being an ugly person, okay? But if you look at her, just look at her for a second, and then her personality is shit. It's like
I know, but like
gross.
who I could understand it if you were in a relationship with somebody and they go in to become an inmate. However, who goes in to a relationship with an inmate thinking this is a winner? This is gonna work out.
I don't know. I don't know. Fucking Tilly, I guess. I don't fucking know. She's like an
He's the
idiot. But
one.
anyhow, well, he's never going to get out of prison. But yeah, I need to seek. I need to seek my guidance through this guy that clearly has his life all together. Anywho, no one said anything because I mean, in prison, obviously, if you report things, you're a snitch, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. So no one said anything.
Snitches get
However, in
stitches.
2014, an anonymous letter gets turned in. We don't know who. We don't know if it was Pam because remember, Pam had been reporting this left and right.
Oh, it was
I
Pam.
forgot to mention that Pam, she got so fucking fed up with it that she did early retirement
Oh God.
because
Okay.
she couldn't anymore. That's how bad it was.
Okay.
And she was just sick of it, and she said the whole prison like staff, she'd been working there years. Here they come. They got her a cake. They're celebrating. Congratulations, Pam, as you do. Two people didn't come. I bet you can't guess who those two people are.
The two playing Twister in the closet.
Well, the two people that didn't come. Well, Sweat wasn't invited to the party because that would be inappropriate. But Joyce didn't come. Neither did Lyle.
Mm.
Because I'm sure Joyce is going back home and telling Lyle that Pam picks on me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because she's looking out for your fucking safety, but whatever.
You're guilty, so you're just gonna make him like she's got it out for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Now, Joyce doesn't get punished. They obviously they're interviewing her and they're like, "We have got reports that you're spending a lot of time, a lot of individual time with inmate Sweat." And she's like, "Well, he's my right-hand man. He's my lead. These are, accusations are ridiculous
Mm.
and blah blah blah." And they're like, "Well, to ensure that nothing's going on, we're going to remove inmate Sweat from the sewing area. He was terminated from that. And you'll just have to find somebody else to be like your right hand man. And Joyce is pissed.
Well, stab her
Now,
in the heart.
yes. Oh, she is devastated. Her boyfriend has been ripped from the seams.
Who's going to
He's being
spin the
moved.
spinner for her twister game?
Yeah. So obviously she can't see him anymore because she can't be like moseying around the prison. The only purpose of her position there is the sewing area, right? Like the
Right.
sewing shop. So she's upset. But don't worry.
Where are the
Good
cameras
old
in this
Matt
place?
has
Why can't
been
they just roll back the cameras?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But
Okay. All right.
inmate Matt, who is Sweat's BFF, you know, he's like, don't worry, Joyce. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna mend your broken heart. I know, isn't this so
I'll
disgusting?
spin the twister spinner.
I'll, s- I'll come play Twister and Sweat. Like, right hand on blue. Okay,
Oh,
all
this
right.
analogy is great.
Now, I
Oh,
know. So, as if Joyce doing her fucked up shenanigans isn't enough. But don't worry, it's going to get really bad here shortly.
God.
But this ain't nothing. You've just heard about all the inappropriateness, but it's going to be about to go to a whole new level. There was another person that worked at the prison who also had a tendency to not follow boundaries, and that was Officer Palmer, who had been working there for many years.
Okay.
And even though he was like a vet CO, he also liked to feel like one of the guys. So he would get out there, doing his rounds and just cut up with them. And inmate Matt took this in. So he would do a lot of artwork for trades, if you get what I'm saying, with Officer Palmer, which is highly inappropriate. And somehow or another, he Palmer had granted access to the catwalk behind the walls in the prison, because that makes perfectly good sense to allow a convicted murderer to have access to the
Of
catwalk.
course.
Sure, whatever. Yeah. Um. So obviously Matt's, pretty not Matt, excuse me. Inmate Sweat's really pissed off. He's been terminated from his girlfriend. I don't know that he really cared about that. I'm sure he was getting contraband before they started asking for contraband on top of some snooky or whatever you want to call it. Like yeah, but he's pissed. So him and Matt have decided the best thing to do is they're just going to escape. And how are they going to do that? Well, they've
With a
got
spoon.
Tilly under some wraps with a spoon, yeah. They totally well, what's crazy is when you said spoon, they did compare this escape to Shawshank Redemption,
Stop it. That's where
because
I went to.
no one, yeah, there had not been an escape from Clinton Correctional Facility in over 100 years.
Jeez.
This was the first one. Yeah. So, let's see.
I'm
Where were
sorry.
we?
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, I got sidetracked. Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
No, I need coffee.
Uh, so Matt, he's comforting Joyce. He's took over the Twister game. He is going to be the in between for Joyce and Sweat, like
Oh,
because
he's not playing
he's
Twister with Joyce. He's setting
well,
up the game.
he's setting up the game. You are correct. He's
Okay.
he's getting the perfect placement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be like the in between for them,
Okay.
because Sweat just he's in love with Tilly and Tilly is in love with him. In case you all have forgot, Tilly is also married to the man that she was caught having an affair with at work from her previous husband. Just to remind you, in
Mm.
case anybody forgot all that. All right. Now he also starts telling Tilly, because Sweat lost his job, he's broke. He don't have no money to buy Snickers anymore or Hershey bars. And she's devastated with this because, oh my God, how is he going to survive? So, what does she do? She starts bringing baked goods like brownies and cookies and giving it to them because, yeah, she was worried he was going to starve to death. And I'm like, Joyce, they're not going to evict him from the prison. He can be there for free and it's not going to cost him a fucking
He's
thing.
not going to starve to
Like,
death. They give him
he gets
crap
three
food.
meals a day.
Three
Yeah.
hots and a cot,
Yeah.
from what my husband says.
But she was worried that he was going to starve to death. So she brought baked goods. Now, with that being said, in their mind, it was really about testing waters. How far can we take this? And by God, she's done that. And I know that a brownie might not seem like a big deal, but when you're put in the predicament of, now I'm going to ask you for more things, and you tell me no, I'm going to report that you brought me a brownie.
Oh shit.
You get, yeah, so
Yeah.
there, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're
Um,
indebted now.
you're in it now. But working in that type of an environment, granted, I don't work in a prison, I still have to work with these exact type of clients. I will tell you, have I gave patients gum before? Absolutely. Am I supposed to? No. It's one of those things. I say pick your battles. I stand by that. Obviously, if a patient came up to me and said, "Jody, will you bring me a whole case of cookies?" I'm going to tell them no. I mean, use your fucking common sense. If I have gum on me and they see that I'm chewing gum, sure. Yes. Am I supposed to do that? No. But I have.
Yeah.
If a patient looks at me and says, "You're not bringing me cookies and you gave me a piece of gum last week and I'm going to report that," I'm going to go and say, I did give this person a piece of gum. This is what they're asking me to do. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to report that.
Yeah.
Did Joyce do that?
Oh,
No.
of course.
But again, like, we'll don't worry. We'll get into what Joyce says. Don't worry. Yeah. So she's become very concerned about her appearance, and people are noticing that she's coming to work more with lower cut tops
No.
and makeup and just, yeah, all of a sudden, that just out of the blue. um she reports that this was all supposed to just be like a flirting thing, that she never intended for it to ever escalate to what it did. Right, yeah. And that Matt, inmate Matt, force encounters on her, even though she doesn't have sweat in there. She's still continuing, I guess, in some sick way, if you want to call it like a love relationship with Sweat, even though she's not seeing him. They're passing love letters
Oh God.
between the both of them, like they're in fucking elementary school. Do you remember folding the notes to the guy that you had a crush
You
on
always
in
made it like a little
elementary school?
football.
Yeah, that's what I pictured.
Facts. That is exactly what
So
it
they're
is.
doing that. But now she's taking Matt to Taylor number 9 and she's shutting the door. But she says that Matt forced her to perform oral sex on him and she was scared for her life. And I'm like, you have COs in there that clearly aren't doing their job, but that's beside the point. They're in there. Why are you taking him in Taylor number 9 and shutting the door if you're afraid for your life?
Right.
You're in a prison. Like, they're in prison.
Wait, so
Like,
this is
why?
Matt? She's saying that Matt forced her to do oral?
Yes,
Okay.
inmate Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, because yeah,
Mm.
sorry. I know it's going to get a little confusing. So, but don't worry. That one encounter, you would think, all right, if that really did happen, hypothetically, in Joyce's world, let's just put ourselves in Joyce's mind for a minute. Let's say that did happen. Why would you continuously, utilize him and take him to Taylor number 9? Why would you not immediately go and approach a CO and be like, I need him removed out of here?
Yeah.
Because you know that they're going to. But again,
Mm.
in Joyce's little fantasy world, it was not consensual, but whatever.
Mm.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
didn't want to play.
Um,
She didn't want to play Twister.
she didn't want to play Twister that particular day, and he was like, I'm here for Twister. Like, it's going down. All right. Now, during the relationship with Matt, again, Matt's trying to mend his relationship with his daughter. Remember that. But she's still also having her relationship with inmate Sweat.
Okay.
So I guess they have some weird threesome orgy thing. Well, I don't know, but
She's got a thing
anywho,
for best friends.
um, yeah, some fucking best friend you are, Matt. But anyway, so the daughter had came and seen him. He tells his daughter, he's like, I have a friend who's going to be calling and checking up on you. And she's like, okay. And she reports that he didn't specify that it's a female. She didn't know the name. She just thinks that a friend of his is just going to be calling and saying, hey, you need anything? You doing okay? Who do you think that friend was that called her?
Oh, I have a
Joyce.
guess.
Yeah, Joyce. And she proceeds to tell her, your dad talks about you all the time and all this. All right, let's get back on boundaries for a second. I deal with the legal system a lot. I don't talk, like, especially, like, it's become a big thing with, like, people on bond having to come into our facility. So obviously, if they're on bond, I'm not dealing with the jails, right? I refuse to talk directly with them. And I say that because I don't want my information to be given to the family, nor do I want this inmate who is on bond to have access to my direct contact information. It's a
Absolutely.
safety
Yeah.
precaution for me, right? It's not because I think I'm any better than they are. That's not it. It has nothing to do with that. But I don't want to deal with the families. And the minute, and it's happened before where they're like, oh, I talked to this girl named Jody. Here's her direct line.
Nope.
Call her. And I tell the family, I can't discuss them with you. I'm sorry. I'm not part of their direct treatment team. I can't discuss their care with you, period. And they do get nasty.
Yeah.
I haven't had any that showed up to the facility ready to kill me yet, but I just want to use that as an example.
I hope
I don't
never.
talk directly to them, right? And I hope it never happens. But it's a safety precaution. And if a client of mine asked me, Jody, will you call my sister and check on her? No, I will not do that. I'll get staff help you call your sister to check on her, but it's not my place to do that.
Nope.
That's a huge no no.
Absolutely. So this
But
had to have been
Joy's
under
done
the
it.
table. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's just hooked herself even more. She's already bringing in baked goods, and now she's calling this guy's daughter on her personal phone,
Yeah. Weird.
communicating with her. Yeah, yeah, but again, they didn't have an intimate relationship. But um this was all, of course, a mechanism to test waters, as you and I know. She's not seeing it like that, but they're just testing her. How far can we take this? Because they're planning an escape. So now that she's called the daughter, she's working one day. She takes inmate Matt to Taylor number 9. And what does he ask for next? Do you have any guess?
A new game.
He's like, I'm sick of this whiskers. He asks for hacksaw blades.
Oh. Oh yeah. They
Yeah.
they're rolling with her now. Oh, she's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. They ask for hacksaw blades. In the beginning, they didn't tell her that they're planning to escape. They said that this was needed for artwork and, to
Bitch is
the.
being used.
Yes, and she believes it, and they paint her a picture of her dogs, which means she had to bring a picture of her dogs for them to be able to see what the dogs look like. But yeah, so they, all the things. And then they come and they're like, you know what? I know that we told you that this was for artwork, but it really is because we're going to escape. And we want you to come with us. We can all be together. I shit you not. We can all be together in
We
Mexico.
can be a throuple.
And well, apparently she says that the plan was her and Sweat would be together, even though she's fucking around with Matt too, but that he would just kind of like do his own thing, I guess, and her and Sweat would be together. I don't
We
know.
can
It's
go play
just
Twister on the
gross.
beach.
Yeah. And, let's say hypothetically, not that I would ever put myself in that situation, but if I had got that deep at this point and they're like, all right, we're going to escape and we want you to come with us, I would just nod and agree. And immediately after their shift is over, I'm going to report this because you are convicted of
Absolutely.
murder. Again, they are convicted of murder. They didn't rob a bank. They didn't steal a car. They killed people. What makes you think that they're not going to do that again? Yeah. So I forgot to mention the way that, because I know people are probably like, how did hacksaw blades get smuggled into the prison? Well, what she did, she got hamburger meat and she put it in the hamburger meat, froze the hamburger meat, and then took it to the prison. Officer Palmer came and picked up the hamburger meat and then delivered it to the inmates. Now, she says that she doesn't know if he knew hacksaw blades was in that or not. He testified that he didn't know that there
Yeah.
was hacksaw blades. So I'm 50-50. I don't know how far he would have got with it because
Yeah.
what was he getting out of it? You know what I mean? Like obviously in this deluded woman's mind, she seems to think that they're going to be in a romantic relationship together, even that like yeah, but what's in it for him? So I don't know if he knew that that was in there. Obviously, um they take the hacksaw blades. They weren't using that for artwork as we know, and they both carve holes in each of their cell walls, which gives them access to the catwalk. They then proceed to go through and they're planning their escape. And what like and the thing is, I know a lot of people are like, "Well, how was that not noticed?" Remember what I said, they have nothing else to do except watch us. That's it. They are timing us, they learn our routines, and they know
Yep.
every single move that we make.
Absolutely.
So they had timed the inmate when officers were doing their rounds. And that's when they would go in the walls and they would do their thing. Sweat was the one that did most of the work though. Because Matt was a bigger set guy, so Sweat was more fit, so he was going in and he was, getting their path, and it took time. So as he's working, he needs other things, such as headlamps and power tools and
Jesus.
work gloves and yeah, drill bits and flashlights, and Tilly brings all of this to them because
Mm.
they're all going to be happily together in Mexico.
They're gonna run
Yes.
away and
So,
live happily ever after.
yes, happily ever after in Mexico. So, I guess in their mind, they needed collateral to make sure that she was going to stick through with this because they needed her. They needed her to the very end. So Sweat writes on his love note and whatever origami that he folded it in that day that he wants nude photos of Tilly. Now, mind you, Tilly has reported that she was scared shitless of these individuals and that she didn't know what to do. But she still sent nude photos of
Mm.
herself through Matt. Yeah, I know it's so gross, especially when you look at her, you're like, ugh. Like,
And you know it's not
no,
just
no, not
staying with
being
one
ugly.
inmate.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're welcome. Oh, you know that they showed that to other inmates.
Oh,
Like, congratulations,
facts.
Tilly. Tilly's tits has been all over this. Joyce reports that Matt comes in one day and he proposes his love to her. That he's sick of like her being, he don't want her to be with Matt, excuse me, Sweat. That he wants her. So she's, I guess, in her mind in this love triangle because everybody wants Joyce apparently. I don't know, but she says that her response was, "Well, I love my husband." I'm
Oh.
sorry. I don't think that that's what you said, Joyce, but whatever. If that makes you sleep better at night, fine. Um, he says then that he's going to kill Lyle so that that they can be together. Even though they're all plotting this escape plan, I don't know. It's really weird. But Sweat reported to investigators when all of this shenanigans had happened that she actually went to Matt to ask, in her words, what they were going to do about the glitch, meaning Lyle. Lyle was the glitch,
The
and that she wanted them to kill him. So they proposed what she should do is they're going to give her pills because again, inmates aren't stupid. They got contraband coming
oh,
in there all
absolutely.
the time. As drugs in jail and prison are more common, they're more easily accessible in the
Then in the
vet setting
streets.
than they are on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truth. So they had gave Joyce two pills. We don't know what they are. That's going to put Lyle to sleep. Okay, the night that they plan on escaping, and that they'll go back and they'll take care of him. So they're plotting Lyle's murder.
Oh
Mind
my god.
you, Lyle, yeah,
You're gonna be out for
Lyle,
like 5 seconds and you're already gonna kill somebody. Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Mm.
yeah. She says all she brought to them was chisels and hacksaw blades, that she doesn't know how they got all the other things. But on top
Oh.
of all the other contraband that was found, she also they had an atlas. Yeah, like that. It was a lot.
This
Yeah.
is
Um,
2014.
Yes, well,
They
they
had
escaped
an
in 2015.
atlas.
So the love affair had been going on for a couple years.
Okay.
They were, yeah, this is 2015.
Oh, okay. When they escaped, that's
So,
right.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah. They tell her um they're all just going to be happy together. She goes on a diet to lose weight. She bought a swimsuit. She had a suitcase
I
packed. Yeah,
can't.
I swear to God. You can't make this shit up. She bought books about Mexico. She was trying to learn Spanish. But
Mm.
again, she was petrified for her life. And she thought that they were going to kill her husband, that she loved dearly.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure she did.
Yeah. All right. So, again, they've been working for months. They finally made breakaway. And the way that this went is that Matt, excuse me, not Matt, but Sweat had went in through the walls down the catwalk. He, uh, kind of like a maze. They actually had to cut through a fucking steam pipe. This is how dedicated they were. Crawl through the steam pipe to the other side because they couldn't get through the wall, which then took them to a ladder that went to a manhole in the middle of the street. You could see the manhole from the windows where the sewing factory
Oh,
was.
wow.
Not the sewing factory, I mean the sewing shops. Excuse me. Yeah. So they finally have done it.
Okay.
So they decide that on June 15th, is it June 15th? Sorry, what day was it? Oh, I'm sorry. June 6th is when they escaped, right? June 6th, so June 5th, excuse me. Yeah, June 5th. They tell Joyce, no, sorry, early June 6th that morning, because they escaped that night, excuse me. They tell Joyce, tonight's the night. Well, Matt tells her. And she kind of, I think, goes into a shock mode. They give her the pills. She leaves work that day. She hasn't told anybody that two inmates have managed to, they're about to escape, even though she's scared for her life. Yeah. They tell Matt, what Matt tells her is what time to meet, like they're gonna climb up out of the manhole. She needs to be there. They're going to get into the car and then they can go, and they're going to go have their orgy fest and play Twister on the beach, I guess. I don't know. But she leaves work. Her and Lyle go have Chinese. She gets home. Joyce starts going into panic mode. She ends up having a panic attack.
Oh, God.
Lyle takes her to the hospital.
That wasn't part of the
Meantime,
plan, you guys.
yeah, that wasn't part of the plan, Joyce. But meanwhile, Matt and inmate Sweat, they start plotting their escape. They're in action at this point. They go through what they did. They actually took some of their clothes and made it look like bodies and covered it up so it looked like they were asleep.
Classic move.
So that gave ample time for them to get out and then all night long. So that was going to give them a huge, leeway to run.
Okay.
So when they get up through the manhole, what do you know? Joyce isn't in there. They give it a couple minutes. She doesn't show up because Joyce is in the hospital having a fucking panic attack. Yeah. And the pills that she was going to give Lyle, she apparently flushed down the toilet, right?
Oh
So they're
no.
like, we didn't trust this bitch anyway, so they take off. They're going.
They're out. They're
And honestly, let's be
dedicated.
realistic. Had she have showed up, and the thing is, the fucked up part is Sweat admitted to this. They were going to go so far. Ditching her means they were going to kill
Oh,
her, take
facts.
what money she had, and go with her fucking car. They didn't want to go to Mexico with her. They probably weren't even going to fucking go to Mexico. They said that they really weren't even going to tell her really where they were
Oh,
going.
what a waste of a
Like,
new bathing
yeah.
suit.
Yeah. So Joyce is in the hospital. They keep her overnight. Lyle's there with her. The next morning, she, here comes the doctor. He's like, all right, we're going to discharge you. And she's like, but can I stay another night? Why are you so fixated on staying the night
Says
in the
no one
fucking
ever.
hospital,
Right.
Joyce? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I can go home, and be in my own bed. And he's like, you'll be all right. So on the way home, they notice there are helicopters flying everywhere, police presence all over everywhere. And Lyle's like, I wonder what's going on. So he goes to turn on the radio, and Joyce immediately cuts it off because she knows what's going. Yeah,
Let me
and
tell you.
yes, police show up at their home
Oh,
that very
shit.
morning to talk to her because they both work at the prison, and they're like, so these guys have escaped. Like, do you all know anything about it? And Lyle's like, holy shit, we know them. And he's so stupid, by the way.
Of
Like,
course you
he's
do.
just as
You
stupid
work
as she
there.
is. Yeah, and she was like, I don't know what's happened. I don't know. Obviously, because this is a state penitentiary, the governor of New York went to the prison and
Mm,
was looking,
of
and
course.
he wanted a very thorough investigation done. Very thorough. They alerted the FBI. It hit Nation. Remember, I said I remember when this was
I
on the
do
news.
not.
I remember it. Oh my god, I do, because I happened to be in Bluefield that day and in West Virginia. And my thoughts was New York's really not that far.
Yeah.
Like, what if these two murderers are nearby? I mean, it was really scary to think about, like, two convicted murderers who obviously they have nothing to lose.
I mean,
Why would, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if they encounter me, I don't mean nothing to them. Like, yeah. So it was really scary. I remember that. But the FBI was alerted, the Border Patrol was alerted because obviously they know they're either going to try to go to Canada, right? Because Canada's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
close, or they're going to try to go to Mexico. So they alerted Border Patrol. Massive manhunt was underway. As they do investigations, one of the first places that they went to was Matt's daughter's house.
Oh, well.
Yes, because it's family. And they're like, do you know where your dad is? And she goes, no. And they start talking, and she happens to bring up
Mm-hmm.
Joyce
Because she
because
crossed
Joyce
the
called her.
boundaries.
Yes, she crossed boundaries. She didn't, I don't know at that time that she realized that Joyce worked at the prison.
Oh.
She knew that there was some sort of correlation, though, because on emails from Joyce, there was the Clinton Correctional Facility attached to that. But again, I don't know that she realized what it was that she did,
Yeah.
if that makes
But her
sense.
name was thrown out there.
So yes. So they go to interview Joyce again, and what does Joyce say? Joyce is like, I don't know whose number that is, and they're like, well, why is her number in your phone? Like,
I love people,
if
man.
you I know. They're like, then why is her number in your phone? So she's still, like, she's kind of breadcrumbing them a little bit. And she's like, well, I don't want to tell you this, but I traded for, a piece of artwork. And it's like, I think you traded a lot more for the
Uh,
just artwork, Joyce. I think it goes well beyond that.
yeah.
So, yeah. They're all over the place. They're looking in farms. Apparently there's a lot of wooded area around that part of New York. So they have helicopters going. It's we have two convicted murderers on the loose. So
Yeah.
this is pretty fucking serious. Um June 16th is when Joyce finally caved. It was 10 days in, so she finally
Jesus.
confessed. And then, but of course, oh my God, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, and I was scared for my life. And it's like,
You only
then why
helped them
didn't you
escape.
report it?
Yeah.
You only helped him, like, escape. So she's been apprehended. On June 17th, it was revealed that she was suspended without pay. And it didn't take long for people to
That
kind of
was
pick up
it?
on what had happened because everybody knew what she
Oh,
did.
oh, at work. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, at work. Oh,
Yeah.
no, she's arrested. She went to court. Don't worry. She did some time. She did some time.
Yeah.
Not as much as what she should have because she put the entire nation at risk.
No doubt.
Um, and wasted tax dollars for, also she could go play Twister in Taylor 9. Like, so this massive manhunt's going on. Sweat and Matt, I guess you could say together they made a whole brain. I don't know. But you got two convicted murderers on the run. Obviously, their plan went to shit because Joyce didn't show up. They thought that they were going to have a car. They were going to rely on what funds she did
Oh,
have to
God.
survive until they could get to the border. So they're on foot. And it is not going very well. I bet you would have never guessed that. Yeah,
Not at all.
it's not going
Not at
very
all.
well. Matt is kind of slowing Sweat down. They end up finding a log cabin in the woods. Well, I don't really want to say it's like a log cabin. It was like a hunter's cabin. Some guy owned it, and that's where he would go stay when he was hunting or whatever. And they end up breaking into it and staying in it for a period of time. The guy had some alcohol. Sweat and him drink, except Matt can't stop drinking. He's stealing everything. And Sweat is trying to play this as smart as he can. He's kind of like the smarter criminal
Yeah.
between the two of them. And he's like, we don't want to leave a trace that we're here. We are two wanted fugitives right now. Like, we need to, like, try to lay as low as we can. And he's like, fuck it. I'm taking everything. And he's, like, trashing the whole place. He's drunk as a skunk. He's useless. So Sweat finally gets fed up. And what does he do? He's like, I'm going my own way. You're on your own. Which did not work out for him. Apparently, he was found on June 26th. They found Matt.
Wow.
They tried to apprehend him willingly. He put up a fight. Matt was shot and it did kill him.
Wow.
They did have to do an autopsy, even though it was kind of a given, like the
Yeah.
shot did. But in the autopsy, it was discovered his blood alcohol level was 0.18.
Mm. Mm,
He
mm, mm.
partied hard the
Yeah.
last few days.
Yeah. He took
Yeah.
it all.
Yes. June 28th, Sweat was discovered. He was walking along the highway. He was so close to the border. That's what's so bad about it, is he was so fucking
And
close
he
to
was
the
just
border.
walking out in the open on the highway.
And he was,
That would
yep, he was
draw
walking out in the
attention.
open, right? And this officer, he does a U-turn because he spots him. He didn't recognize who he was at that time. Like, he's just like, this is bizarre. I'm going to check in on it. And he's like, hey, well, instead of stopping and just talking to me like, man, I'm good. My car broke down a while back or what.
They ran
No,
out of
what did he do?
gas
He
on
took
the
off
highway. Who
running.
does that?
He took off running, which just made him a huge suspect. And then it dawned on him who it was. So he was shot. It did not
Oh,
kill Sweat, though.
okay.
Yes, it did not kill Sweat. So Sweat was then apprehended. So, yeah. So Matt's dead. Sweat's arrested. Joyce has to go to court.
Mm.
I mean, all of this comes
What a
out
mess.
too. And Lyle, mind you, her husband is still in the picture. He's there for all of this. He's listening to it. They're talking about how they discovered that she was literally plotting her husband's death. I don't give a shit what you say.
The
She was
fuck?
part of that. She was planning on
And you're
killing
gonna
him.
support her in her endeavors.
And oh
Okay.
yes, he was very supportive. And to this day, they're still married. He says that she was the
Wow.
victim. Yes, she was the victim in all of this. Now she did
Again,
get the
per last
maximum.
episode, you self control. You control your actions, and mm,
Oh, but yes. I mean, I guess he's not pleased with the fact that she, did what she did, but she was a victim. Even her
no.
son says she's a victim. And I'm like,
Okay,
and
whatever.
a lot of people in some sick world are kind of like, well, she was a victim. No, she wasn't.
Justifying and
She
enabling.
gets the same type of training I get. I'm not going into work and trying to have affairs with patients,
Yeah.
plotting my husband's death.
And
I'm
if
doing
I get
that.
a safety thing, but at the end of the day, play along until the end of the day when you're leaving and tell somebody. Or don't come back. Like,
Right.
period.
Yeah, no, that's not what she did. That's
Yeah.
not what she did. But Joyce was released from prison on February the 6th of 2020. Yes.
So she
And that's
served
our
4 or 5.
story of, yeah, Joyce Mitchell. You're
Jeez Louise.
welcome.
She's a gem.
Yes. Isn't she lovely? You need to watch
I'm
I think
going
they
to.
call it I can't escaping Dan I can't say it. Damarara or something like that, but that's the town that the prison's in. You need to watch. It's a really good series. My mom loved that
I'm
series,
going to.
and I believe I side more. The stories are exactly the same. Obviously, Lifetime dramatized it a little bit more, and I'm sure that the series that they made dramatized it a little bit more, but it really does paint her out to be a lot more narcissistic, and I just find her to be that way. And if you watch the interviews with her, she's like, I really didn't mean for any of this to happen. Yes, you fucking did. Yes, you did. All because you're insecure. You was looking to play Twister, as what Ashley says, in Taylor number 9 when you're told not to do that.
uh, well,
Yeah, yeah. You're
I'm gonna
welcome.
watch
You're
it.
welcome. So that's our story of
Yes.
Joyce Mitchell and the big scandalous New York prison break. I told you, don't worry, that there was
That was a good
murder
one.
involved.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I
Yeah.
liked it.
I can't believe you didn't remember, like, or
No.
you don't recall seeing any of that. Oh man, I remember it because
No.
I remember sitting. I was scared. I really was. I was really scared. I was like, "This is fucking petrifying." That there's two convicted. At the time, they didn't go into detail about like what they did. All the nation needed to know is you need to be careful because there's two murderers on the loose.
I would have.
Because this dipshit,
Yeah.
thought it was a good idea to let them out.
I would have been paranoid as if I would have heard about it. So I know I didn't. There was only one time I've ever been scared and like I didn't even want to let Jaden go outside. There was like sadly a mass murder where a guy broke into 2 different houses like next door across the street in our town and killed them. And he was not mentally right in the head. He was like aliens are coming to get us and like he
Aw,
thought they were coming for him.
that's sad.
Yeah. And he was on the loose for a few days. So I was like, that was the only time I ever remember being scared. So, and if I would have known murderers were on the run, I would have been like, ugh.
You would have been
I would have
petrified. Yeah.
remembered it. So, no, I
All
do not.
All because Joyce Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Do you got questions for the
Oh,
girls?
of course. Of course. Bring them in.
All right. Here we go. What could they possibly say?
Let's see.
All right, ladies. What do you think about Joyce Mitchell? Fake. Did you hear fake?
Facts.
That she was.
Yeah.
Facts. Yes. So, was the sexual relationship consensual? I think we said we believe so.
Did they have a
Did
sexual
Matt,
relationship?
yeah, did they have a sexual relationship?
Any of them?
Facts.
Fact. I thought it said yes. I couldn't tell.
I heard facts.
Okay. Don't we steal my lingo?
Was it consensual? And then I swear I heard douche.
sounded like they repeated it.
I know. It was. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It was. It was totally consensual.
Did either one of
Yeah.
the boys care for her at all, or was it always a manipulation game?
Yeah. Did they care about Tilly? No. Was it strictly manipulative tactics? I think so.
Why did I say faking? It sounded like they said they were faking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I heard that one loud and clear. Yeah. Um, there was one I wanted to ask, and I can't remember.
Did Tilly want to kill her husband?
There's a lot going on. Like, it sounds like they're just wanting to talk.
Girls, did Tilly want to kill her husband? I heard probably.
I don't think she did.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think that she really intended to go through with it. I think it was more of a just feeding in the moment.
Yeah. I don't think I have any more.
All right, lady. Thank you.
Thanks, girls.
So, yeah. There you have it. Joyce Mitchell.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And now I'm going to have to go watch that series, like, literally right now. So.
I told you.
Okay, bye.
That's wild. Yep. All right, Ash. What do they need to do?
They need to like, follow, and subscribe on most social media platforms. MT Dolltok. Claps for me for getting that one right.
Yeah.
And then, again, thanks for your support. We love you guys. Catch us every Wednesday, Spotify and YouTube.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. You guys have a good night. And thanks again for the support. Bye.
Bye.